Hi, this is Ivan and welcome to the channel. One of the videos I get the most comments on and honestly sometimes the most questions on is a video I did a while back about the Pop-Out Panel Manager. This is a wonderful application if you're not familiar with it. It will basically automate the process of your pop-out displays within Microsoft Flight Simulator. And this is particularly useful if you're using external displays and in your cockpit build and you really want to automate that process because it can be quite tedious to manually do that. Now, I haven't really looked at the program in a while. Microsoft Flight Simulator had updated some things and it does a little bit of the process on its own, but really it's not enough. So I reinstalled Pop-Out Panel Manager, and now it's on version, I believe, 4.1 is what I'm using today. And there's been some improvements and upgrades. So I thought I would run through it again just to kind of do so you guys can get re-familiar with it if you haven't used it in a while. One question I will try to address in this video is I've had a lot of questions either privately or on other videos about having difficulty getting all the windows to pop out, particularly in the airliners. I had a hard time answering those questions because honestly, I don't fly the airliners. I typically fly the smaller general aviation planes, and those actually work pretty well. There's usually just a couple of screens, maybe 3 or 4 at the most. But some of the larger airliners can have 5, 6 or more displays to pop out. So I thought what I would do is run through that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into the cockpit here, and we'll just kind of go through the process and see what's different, what's new. So right off the bat, I'm going to kind of zoom this around. There's a lot here. If you can follow my mouse pointer here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 displays that are capable of being popped out. This is the 320 Neo. And please forgive me if I'm not getting the terminology right for this particular aircraft. I almost never fly in these things. So I'm not counting these because I believe these are all mirrored. I don't know if that'll pop out or not. In other words, if you pop this out, I don't know if you can still pop that out. You can kind of figure that out in your own experimentation. But let's go ahead and kind of see what's what. So what I'm going to do now is I will go ahead and pull up the pop-up panel manager here. And this is a profile of a Cessna 172 that I've already done just to mess around with it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a profile for the Airbus 320 Neo. So what I'm going to do is you're going to click over here, and you can, it may be hard to see, but this is where you click on this, add a new aircraft profile. I'm going to click on that, and I'm just going to give it the name, and we'll just say 320 and hit accept. So now it's even prompting you here with this arrow key that you want to add however many different displays you want to do. Now there's 2 ways to approach this. You can do this one at a time and add one in after you get the other one locked and figured out where you want it placed. Or it gives you the option to just add 7, however many at once, 4 to 7, 4 to however many, and then you go back and edit one at a time. And in the video on the developer's website, it shows you how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. I'm going to do 6 pop-outs here. Let me go back. I'm going to do a pop out. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I'll do 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So here's what I'm going to do. I click this button 6 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so right off the bat, you can see you've got some things to fill out, and we'll go through this process. This is one of the first places where some of the new functionality is really neat. So in the previous version, you would program one of your camera views, and you could pick it just through the, I believe it's Control Alt, and then you 0 through 9, and then that would assign a camera view, which is what I do in my normal flights. I have camera views assigned, and then I use my keypad to pick where I'm looking if I'm not using Track IR or Tobii Eye Tracker. And so, or what the developer has now done, it gives you the option to pick a view. And I don't think you can mix this stuff, but you can do one or the other. And I'm going to do the new way, but we'll talk about the old way too. So what I'm going to first do is, you notice that it says fixed camera cockpit pilot. So when I hit identify, what will happen is on the sim screen, it will change view. So I'm going to go ahead and switch this over. We'll see how visible this is. I'm going to hit identify. And now it's going to that view. I'm going to go over with my mouse and I'm going to click the screen. It should leave a circle. And I believe that is showing up. You can see that little green circle. It may be kind of hard to see. Let me make it a little bit easier there. So there is the green circle. I'm going to go back here and I'm going to click the next identify. Again, I can change the view if I wanted, but I don't. So I'm going to go and click on this display and it's going to add another circle. You can left click on this circle and kind of move it around if you need to adjust it, but I'm going to just do that. And then I'm going to also go to the next identify. It's asking me, can I change the view? I don't need to. I'm just going to click on this screen. Okay. And then this one, and I'm going to click on this screen. I'll kind of get that recentered. And then I'm going to click here. And now I am actually going to change the view. I'm going to go to Instrument 3. I've already done this one and this one. I'm going to click here, kind of get it situated. And now I'm going to do the last one. And I just happen to know that this is going to be Instrument 5. And there we go. So now I have all of my displays that are going to pop out picked. Now what I am going to do, let me come back to here. I'm going to rename these because this gets, if you don't, it'll get confusing. So I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now I've got them all renamed so I can keep track of them. And what it wants you to do is, if you're done editing, click on this green circle here. It's prompting you to do that in this text box down here. So I'm going to click on that. Okay. So now if I wanted to, I could start the pop-out process. And here is the first place where I think people run into trouble. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and run it through this, and it's not going to work. And let me show you why. And so what I'm going to do is go back to this view, and I'm going to hit Start Pop Out, and let's see what happens. So it's running through it. And now if you notice, it's popped out this first display, and it worked. But watch what happens to the second one. It failed. And the reason it failed is because these pop-outs are covering the targets. Pop-out Panel Manager is basically an automated process where it's doing it's asking the computer to do what you would do, to click on a certain area of the screen, and that's what it's trying to do. But with these pop-outs being so huge, it's not going to work. So you can see that I can come down to here. I've got a lot of red flags. That means it didn't work. I'm going to hit close all pop-outs, and we're going to try this again, but we're going to do something a little bit different. And this is from the developer's website, so I didn't come up with this on my own. But what you're going to do is you're going to basically make sure this is unlocked. See how that turns green? That means it's locked. Now it's unlocked. I'm going to, let me blow that back up. I'm going to go through here and I'm going to change the width and the height of all of these. So I'm going to change all the width to 300. And all the height to 200. You could probably do 300 here as well. Okay, so now I've changed the width and the height to 300 and 200. And here we'll see why. I'm going to go ahead and lock this. And I'm going to hit the start, pop out, and let's see what happens. Okay, so it's going to start going through its process. And you notice now, instead of the popped out displays remaining big, they're shrinking down to that size that we programmed of 300 by 200. And now they're out of the way of the target displays that are trying to be popped out. And so that time it worked. You notice there was a failure. It said track IR. This has the option, if you use track IR, it will turn it off, run through the pop out, and then turn it back on. If you leave it on and you move around, it won't be able to click on your target screens. So now what I want to do is I want to move these around as if I was setting up a screen, but I'm not going to try to be exact. You might have an Air Manager set up. You might have your custom displays laid out in such a way that you would, move the screen to, but I don't have that, so I'm just going to move this. So I'm just going to move this over to here. Actually, first thing you got to do is you have to unlock this. And now I'm just going to kind of move this over to this screen here, and I'm just going to kind of line them up and pretend like I was setting up an actual screen. And again, you would just be moving these around. And so there we go. So now you have them set up. And what you would probably want to do now is get these kind of dialed in. And you have some options for that. And I kind of want to run through that. So what I'm going to do is kind of zoom in over here. And then we'll kind of take a look at it with the other screen. So basically, you see now, and this is why you should rename your panel names. If you leave it at default, you won't know which panel that you are editing. But we have some options. So first thing I'm going to do is click this down arrow, and now this gives me more options. So some of these are pretty self-explanatory. Always on top, keep this display always on top. You can do a full screen mode, and that can be helpful if, say, for example, I'm using Flight Sim Builder, or you might be using Real Sim Gear. I think this would work with that. I'm not sure. But it does work with Flight Sim Builder, G1000 hardware bezels. You can make it hide the white title bar. And Auto Game Refocus, I believe it takes the focus back to Microsoft if you're clicking around on it. I'm not entirely sure what that does. And then Floating Panel Toggle, you might not have a particular place for a display to go. So you can just kind of leave it floating and have assign a key to turn that display off and on. What I'm going to do is and then you can also move stuff around. And so if you press here, this gives you the option to use some arrow keys to move it up and right, left, or down. And then the same thing for the height. You can come down here and you can move stuff around. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Let's go ahead and pull this up. We'll pick 4, custom panel 4. And I'm just going to click that. It's highlighted. Now I'm using my arrow keys on my computer, and you can see it's moving up and down. So you can kind of fine tune it with your keys if with the mouse is hard. Then I can come over here for width and click on this up down. And now I can plus or minus by 10 or 1 pixel at a time. Let's say I wanted to shrink the width down, and you can see that that's shrinking down. I can get rid of those black borders. When I get to this point, do it by single pixel. And now I've gotten rid of the borders. So you can do some good editing as you're trying to get it situated. Once you get it exactly where it is and you get all of them adjusted, then you would hit lock. And then from then on out, it would put everything where it is. And I'll demonstrate that real quick. I will close all the pop outs and we'll go through the process again, and let's see what happens. It should go big and then small, and it goes right to wherever you put it, and you can see it populating on that bottom right display. So again, the developer for this just really knocked it out of the park. This just makes it so easy, and then boom, you're done. We can kind of run through some settings. This little cog here, you can click on that. We'll just kind of run through these. Always on top. This keeps the app window always on top if you wanted to. You can make this to where it'll automatically start when Microsoft Flight Sim starts. You can make it minimized to the tray. You can start the application minimized and not even see it at all. You can make it close when you exit out. I've not tried the turbo mode, but apparently it can be faster. It says kind of use at your own risk and check for updates. And come down here, enable auto pop out panel. So what this does is this will assign, if we kind of go back here, you see it says active aircraft, the Asobo A320neo. So now this profile is assigned to the 320neo. So when I pull that up and hit fly, it will run through this process automatically. Go back to settings here. So that's kind of nice that you can do that. This apparently adds some delay. Sometimes it takes time to find that perfect view, and the delay can be helpful. Pop out settings. Okay, so this kind of goes back to the old way. You can set a camera view. Like, for example, let me go back to here. So I could do this, pull out a little bit, and then I could run Pop-Out Panel Manager. I can see all of the displays. I could put the little circles on them. It's one view. It would do it all. And in Microsoft Flight Simulator, you save a view by Control-Alt, and then you hit the number key that you want to assign it to. And here you can pick which custom view you want it to default to. And so I messed around with it. I saved a view as Control-Alt-9, and it actually works really well. Again, though, you have to make sure when that initial pop-out comes out that you're not covering like a display and then it can't find it. So that's what that is. And again, most of these are self-explanatory. There's a lot of stuff that you can do. And this is just a great program. I do encourage you to support the developer and let him know that you appreciate his efforts. Just kind of running through these views. Again, the track IR. I have the Tobii eye tracker that I'm using intermittently, And if you don't turn it off before the pop out process starts, almost guaranteed that your alignment is going to be out of whack and it's not going to be able to pick the appropriate screen. So I hope this has been helpful. I just wanted to do a little brief update on this video to see, so you can see what's new and to possibly help some of those who have been sending me messages and questions about why it's not working on the larger aircraft. I think that's it. It may be something entirely different, but this is a built-in Microsoft Flight simulator aircraft, and in the video of the developer, he's using a PMDG aircraft, and so it seems to be working on that. So I think that's probably the bulk of the problems. If not, please put a question below. If I can figure it out, I will. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and you guys have a great day.